Chicago cop posted hundreds of racist text messages, social media posts, claims he has amnesia. He can't remember a damn thing. Put it up full mass. Chicago detective Jon Popow, on the right, a veteran detective, faces termination after posting hundreds of offensive comments on social media that targeted Black people, Muslim people, immigrants, and LGBTQ people. He did this over the period of 5 years until his actions were uncovered not by fellow detectives, not by an authority inside of the internal affairs construct of the police department, but a watchdog group.
With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show.
Okay, let's get into it. Jon Popow, a 20-year employee with the Chicago Police Department, found himself in hot water last November when he was notified by the Civilian Office of Police Accountability, known as COPA, which had been monitoring his online activity since 2018 after he began posting content on his Facebook and Twitter accounts. When COPA personnel confronted the cop with this evidence, he denied holding any racist or bigoted beliefs and attributed his inability to recall some of the posts to memory problems stemming from a medical condition. Now, let me say this. Now, damn it, you the police. I expect you to have better lives than this. Now, the reason why you are slated for termination is because your lie was so horrible. Sir, they were trying to give you an opportunity. They wanted an explanation when you really should have been fired on the spot, period. There's more. Now, a year after the scandal surfaced, Chicago PD Superintendent Larry Snelling, who is Black, issued a letter this week indicating that he is in the process of firing the detective, though the officer had not been officially dismissed yet, according to multiple news reports. Previously, COPA issued a 36-page report on the detective's vitriol on social media when he expressed racial hatred and extremist views on gender issues, but did so while using pseudonyms, believing he would not be easily identifiable. It's like Keystone Cop or something. Sir, so you say you take drugs and you can't remember stuff. You then create a profile and you're so inadequate at doing so, your identity is quickly exposed. They are still allowing you to be a detective when you've posted racial or racist and bigoted content, and you've already told them you can't even remember stuff. How in the hell are you still a cop, sir? This is the problem people have with law enforcement. There's more. An investigation was launched when a writer from a website focused on politics and policing on the city's northwest side submitted a complaint to COPA. So this is a person, okay? A writer from a website. So the detective's shocking comments were racist to the core. Whenever referring to Black people, he would use terms such as, quote, worthless ghetto mutts, quote, end quote, or quote, gorilla cookies, that's a new one, stupid ass N-word award, that's pretty common for them, and would describe two Black people fighting as a chimp out, end quote. In one of his most misguided posts, this detective wrote, quote, truth is, the Black experiment has failed. not because of white culture or white privilege or white racism. The fundamental problem is that American Black culture has evolved into an unfixable and crime-ridden mess. The text went on to blame Black people for expecting, quote, others to tolerate their violence and amoral behavior, and calling Black people, quote, socially incompatible with other races by their own design. They don't understand that white people aren't out to get Black people. They are just exhausted with them, end quote. Now, the irony is what? He's paid by Black people to protect and serve Black people while besmirching Black people at the same time. And he sees no problem with this. That is not immoral to him. That is not unethical to him. That is quite acceptable in his privileged ass mind. There's more. Despite making those offensive comments, Detective Popow was still promoted to detective in 2022. They didn't fire him. They didn't give him a pink slip. They gave him a promotion and assigned to work in areas like Kenwood, Chicago Lawn on Chicago's South Side. In 2018, while still an officer, the detective shared a selfie with his partner from inside their squad car, tagging a pop star, Ariana Grande. While the post was intended to be playful, with both officers mimicking the signature look of high ponytails and raised eyebrows, it later added to the troubling narrative surrounding the detective's commentary on social media. His offensive posts were eventually exposed by a watchdog group, leading to calls for his termination amid growing scrutiny to his conduct as a police officer. So COPA, the COPA report by itself, contains screenshots of at least 20 offensive posts on X, including an image the detective admitted to creating, which depicted a Black man in a coffin with a caption, quote, that face you make when you don't understand what stop resisting means, end quote. There's more. In this particular case, the detective said the meme was, quote, intended to point out the potentially fatal consequences of not obeying lawful police orders, according to COPA. Quote, Detective Popow's flagrant disregard for CPD policies, as well as the nature of the post and the frequency with which he posted them, all suggest he was expressing his true views, the COPA report states. Detective Post disparaged the same protected classes he took an oath to protect and serve, including African Americans, migrants, Muslims, the LGBTQ plus community, and people who are disabled. Through his use of social media, the detective has demonstrated that he is unable to treat all Chicago citizens with fairness and equity. Atlanta Black Star reported on this detective's fall from grace in November 2023 when the allegations first came to light, resulting in an investigation into the detective's online activities. At the time, Chief Snelling came under immediate pressure to fire any officers involved and others who harbored biased ideologies. However, his options were limited by internal discipline protocols, and the detective has been on desk duty ever since. When questioned by investigators, the detective explained that his online media handles, which are German names, a name he chose due to his German heritage and his work on the South Side. He also revealed that sheepdog is a popular nickname for police officers. The detective's Facebook account was found under the name Sean Popow, P-A-P-O-W, not P-O-P-O-W. Homophone for his real first name, Sean, S-H-A-W-N. But he spelled it the other way, S-H-A-U-N, and then added an A to the last name where there was an O, and he didn't believe anyone would figure this out. Okay, so a few things here. Number one, he doesn't operate in a silo. He operates in a culture. he was exposed prior to being promoted to detective. He then gets exposed again in a much more severe fashion, and they still can't fire the guy for whatever reason. They put him on desk duty. So he's probably not actually solving any crimes. He's just defunding the police, collecting a paycheck without providing work for the citizens he is supposed to protect. But once again, there's a reason why he is still there. There's a reason why the chief says, well, I'm in the process of firing him. The process, it's been 2 years, at least. I'm sure there was rhetoric prior. I'm sure there are complaints galore about this guy. But why is it taking so long to fire one police officer who obviously should not be a cop, who probably has manipulated information, who absolutely has engaged in biased conduct against citizens he's supposed to protect? Well, see, he got the goods on everybody. He got the goods on everybody. He is simply a domino that could potentially knock down other dominoes if the effect actually happens. It's a culture that is being protected. And when that happens, the community suffers. Senator, you working in the elected arena on multiple levels, government arena, et cetera, you understand exactly what's happening here. This is a culture that even a Black police chief who is supposed to be the man in charge is saying, listen, I'm trying.
Yeah, exactly right, Doc. I mean, it's just, I'm having a WTF Chicago Police Department moment, a WTF Chicago, the city, but it really is, Doc, a WTF America. And that's really what you're getting at. This detective is really an example of America. And as much as people want to resist this reality, his behaviors, his outburst, the way that he felt very safe and even coming up with an alias, so to speak, on social media is just a reminder that the original sin of this country has not been solved. There has not been truth and reconciliation. And it doesn't matter what profession. It just so happens that this dude is a police officer, but the same type of behaviors we find example after example after example in other professions, because guess what? Welcome to America. Doc, is making me think about the pseudosciences of the 1800s. And those pseudosciences sought to prove that there's some type of biological white supremacy. It's all flawed, but the terms that he used to describe Black people, and I know others, but I'm centering Black people because a lot of this racial bigotry and animus is centered on anti-Blackness, and then it hits every other protected class as we see. What took them so long? Number one. Number two, why aren't they doing, Doc, regular yearly psychological evaluations on police officers? Not just Chicago, but all over the country. It is a hard job, and there are some people who shouldn't be in it, but I digress. Psychological testing on a regular basis for these police officers to protect them and to protect society. Why don't they hire people to comb social media? Thank God for this researcher, or this dude would still be going strong. It is a disgrace, not only for the Chicago Police Department, it is a disgrace for the city of Chicago. And your point, Doc, they still evaluating, still trying to figure out how to fire this dude. Fire this dude already. He is not fit to be a police officer. He never was fit to be a police officer. And it's just a reminder. I am curious as to what they are going to do to catch other people who have this same mindset that this guy has.
That's right.
That's what I want to know.
And think about the cases he has already compromised.
That's right.
This is a defense attorney's dream.
That's right. All of his arrests.
That's right. Damn it. We appeal.
That's it.
Bring the bias to the record of the court. You said something quite powerful, and I want to make sure I echo it. You talked about the reality of how officers engage in this conduct, but it is an American issue, right? So we highlight these stories because truly it's a microcosm of the macrocosm. It is a microcosm of the macrocosm. And as it relates to, this cop, the police chief should go ahead and be quite honest with the people about what's really happening in that department.
That's
right now,
right.
sir. That's the only thing that's going to help you.
And Doc, there
be
was a
able to
point
get-
that you brought up of them saying because of protocols, y'all need new damn protocols.
Right.
You
What kind
know,
of protocol is
I
that?
mean,
You could be
saying
racist,
they,
bigoted, and take medication and can't remember nothing, but you
yes,
could
sir.
still have the same job. You can lie to the authorities and still have the same. You can't work at Wendy's for that
No,
because
you
Wendy's has
cannot.
standards.
And if it's a matter of the union contracts, let me shout out, love unions. But now, if y'all gonna uphold, and unfortunately in law enforcement, sometimes they uphold far too often bad behavior, then they need to check themselves before they wreck themselves.
That's right.
Because officers like him make it bad for the other officers who are in fact trying to do the right thing. So any union that would stand behind a man like this, when it is proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that he did all of these things, then shame on them too. Doc, you know,
Yep.
I think about some of the professions like football. You know, we as you said, this is a microcosm of the macro activity in the United States of America. But I want to switch to sports, for example. When we talk about the pseudoscience, I want people to understand this. For the longest time, black men couldn't be quarterbacks. Hello,
Yep.
somebody? Because they believed that we were not smart enough, that their brains weren't large enough to be able to call those plays, couldn't be pitchers, et cetera, et cetera. So again, I want to reiterate, police officer today, but this kind of white supremacy, anti-black bigotry penetrates all aspects of American society. And
That's
it
right.
really is a damn shame.
Well said. We're going to stay on top of this story, bring you updates as they come. This officer needs to go.